you're on it. Yeah. You start. प्रभु AC के लिए बोल देना. So Hare Krishna, welcome all for a Saturday program, Light of the Bhagavata, 5 to 6. So today our topic of discussion is Bhakti Yoga at home. So anybody attending for the first time? Anybody attending for the first time here? No. Okay, then just. We'll start with prayers. Om Jnana Trimandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastisya Desa Dharine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So today our topic of discussion is Bhakti Yoga at home. My voice is clear, huh? Yeah. Okay. So can you tell me what is this? So my sessions are interactive, so you can feel free to stop anytime, discuss, ask questions. So you know what is this? Drone. So anybody knows how to fly a drone? Anybody? No. Okay. So when you buy a drone, तो क्या मिलता है उसके साथ आपको? Yeah, but there is one more thing that you get. That's very important. Come on. Yes.
It was not located, not noticed apparently, but we can see through this drone.
Yeah, नहीं कुछ उसके साथ मिलता है. So when you buy a drone, आज आपने Amazon से मंगाया, you get it today, delivery box open किया. But one thing you get with that is a manual to operate it. Right? अगर आपने manual नहीं खोला तो क्या होगा? The drone will crash. So similarly, we have been given these bodies, right? And we have been given education. But how do you operate this body and why we are here? इसका manual किसने दिया है? Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Now, how many of you have the Bhagavad Gita? Show your hands. Okay. How many of you have time to study the Bhagavad Gita? Great. Baki? Okay. So, now look at this scenario. What do you see? Here, Krishna is giving the message to Arjuna. So, where the whistles were blown, you're about to fight, but still Arjuna found out time. 1 hour to listen to the Gita. Similarly for us, we, despite our busy lives, we have to find out time to study this Gita. Why studying is so important? Why study of the Bhagavad Gita is so important?
This is relevant in this time also.
Yes, that's one point. Yeah. तो जैसे आपको मैनुअल मिलता है लाइफ का, जैसे व्हेन यू बाय अ ड्रोन एग्जांपल में मैनुअल में तभी फ्लाई कर सकते हो. बट सिमिलरली द भगवद गीता, इट टॉक्स अबाउट, डज इट टॉक अबाउट एनी रिलीजन, अबाउट एनी कास्ट, क्रीड, सेक्ट? It talks about life principles. That's the message of the Bhagavad Gita. So that's why it's relevant is कि because in our universities, colleges, we are never taught how to live a life. We have been taught कि हाँ information आपको dump की जाती है and you produce that information somewhere. कि just like how do you use this mic or how do you use this phone, ये आपको समझाया जाता है. Yeah, how will you do in your profession or in your field of activity. But life का क्या purpose है वो सिखाया नहीं जाता है. Do you agree, disagree with me कि life का purpose सिखाया जाता है? No. So that's why this Bhagavad Gita is very important. And today our discussion is going to be around the Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Jnana Vijnanam Sahitam Sa Jnanata Mokshashi Subhat. Jnana means theoretical knowledge becomes Vijnana when you put into practice. So again a question to everybody. कितने लोग ने गीता अपनी प्रैक्टिस में डाली है? शो ऑफ हैंड्स. गीता कितने लोग ने प्रैक्टिस में डाली है अपनी? It's fine. मैंने भी नहीं डाली तो. I will also raise my hand. So it's just like आपने ट्रेन का टिकट लिया और आप ट्रेन में नहीं बैठे. हुआ है कभी किसी के साथ? So you buy a train ticket, but you are not boarded the train. So similarly, Gita सबके घर में है, पढ़ी है हमने, but have we applied it in our lives? So just take an example. You go to the best doctor in Bombay and take medicine from him, और medicine को अपने cupboard में रख दिया. So whether that your disease will come out, will go away? Why not? Because you are not taking the dose. So similarly, this Bhagavad Gita is manual of life. It is the most important book. Because your knowledge, all your material knowledge is going to finish at some point of time. Because what is said is memory is fickle. So आप जितना पढ़ते हो, so जितना मैथ्स आपने 12th तक पढ़ा था वो कोई रिमेंबर करता है? हाँ? Can you solve your sums, Today अगर हमारे टाइम पे सेक्शन डी होता था, which was the most toughest maths exams, उस पार्ट का. So similarly, we have to try to, whatever knowledge that we get, to put it into Vijnana. And that's what these programs are all about. So, we are conducting so many programs for this reason only. How do we apply Bhagavad Gita in our lives? And what will happen when we apply Bhagavad Gita in our lives? क्या होगा? You will come out of illusion. What is the purpose of life? How should we lead a life? So that's the very most important point for us. Because otherwise you have seen people, going mad, you go into the lower modes. Sense gratification में चले जाओगे पर उसमें सुख नहीं है. The problem is it's very temporary. So I'll take the next time. So Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna in order to show the world that the timeless message is meant not only for renunciates. So how many of you have a misconception कि ISKCON में आए हो तो आपको छोड़ना पड़ेगा सब कुछ? Anybody heard? So I have heard a lot कि ISKCON में आओ तो you will have to be a renunciate, you can't practice spiritual life. But that's not true. There are many, in fact Prabhupada was a householder and then he became a sannyasi at a later stage. So similarly, but also for householder with family and social responsibilities. So this is for everybody and that's what we are going to learn today. So misconceptions about spiritual life. Ki it's a retirement program. Do you agree? Spiritual life is a retirement program? Ki, but what happens in retirement? Because your memory is not that strong. Your energy levels are down. So that's why it's a lifelong program. And lifelong programs को cultivate करना था. Just like you take time out for everything, your recreation, your studies, your professional life, meeting your friends, family. So similarly, you have to take out time for spiritual life. And spiritual minds, misconception, like you have to give up everything. You don't have to give up everything. So a question, did Arjuna leave everything when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita? Yes or no? No. No is the right answer. So Arjuna actually, listened to the Bhagavad Gita and then he didn't want to fight. That was why the purpose Krishna told the Bhagavad Gita to him. And after that, he actually fought the war. So he didn't leave the life or, he didn't leave his field of activity. He continued that. So similarly, this misconception about spiritual life, give up everything, that's not right. You have to give up the attachments to everything. That is the purpose. So as per Bhagavad Gita, what does Gita tells us? Gita tells us how to live dynamically. This knowledge should be given at the age of 5. So one can live his life perfectly. So as per the Vedas, किसको पता है कि जीवन कैसा जीना चाहिए? And we are Indian, सबको पढ़ाया गया है. As per Vedas, जीवन कैसा होना चाहिए?
Simple living, high thinking.
Okay. Can you break up in terms of years? कि पहले
25 years first brahmachari, after that grahastha yog, after that vanaprastha, and then the sannyasi.
Okay, so I'll just repeat from the online. The first 25 years you live a life of a brahmachari. In this brahmachari, you actually learn all the skills. And then you can decide you enter grahastha ashram or you become a brahmachari. Then they are called as nastic brahmachari. And then you enter grahastha life for next 25 years. And from there, after 50, you start retiring. Like you spend more time for spiritual activities till 75. And after 75, you take sannyas. If you are able to live that long. So till 75, I guess the average age in India is 66, 67. That's where most of the people leave their bodies. So that's how the Vedas tell us how we should live our life. But what happens here is कि career बनते बनते 30 years हो जाता है आजकल. I mean, that's the challenge. So that's why we have to plan our life from the age of 5. So what did Prahlad Maharaj do? So Prahlad Maharaj started cultivating spiritual life from 5 years of age. So spiritual life does not mean that we give up everything, but add Krishna to our life. We do not have to change anything but our consciousness. So what does this mean? Ki we have to center our life around Krishna, around service. So normally, if you have a normal life, तो सुबह उठोगे, you'll drink tea, coffee, then थोड़ा सा, relax, and then go to office, drag yourself to office or some business, whatever you do. And then उसके बाद, in the evening you come back, watch TV, sleep. Do you agree? Normal life ऐसा होता है? But how do devotees lead their life? Those who are practicing outside. So they have a morning program. Yeah.
And they get up in the Brahma Muhurat and they do their arti and chanting and early morning bath. And then after that, after the puja and chanting, then they go ahead with their professions and work life.
Yeah. Okay. So he's saying that only. I'll just repeat. So what he does is he gets up in the morning and doesn't look for tea, coffee, freshen up and chants the names of the Lord. Because chanting is where your 90% of your success is there in your spiritual life. Then you go to office, but with the motive of not earning money for yourself, but maintaining your family. You're doing the same work. The mindset is changed. You work for Krishna. Why? Because to maintain your body, then only you can do service. You cannot do service without maintaining your body or your family. And then in the evening you come back, you don't watch TV. You listen to lectures. So hours we have every day of the week, 8 to 9 lectures we have. From 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. we have lectures. So that you can, hear. And that's how you can keep your consciousness centered around Krishna the whole day. Even during your lunchtime, you'll have prasad. You'll not have, those ordinary stuff that is there. So that's how you center your life around Krishna. The whole purpose of Krishna consciousness is that when you center your life around Krishna, then at the time of the death, there is a high chance that you'll remember Krishna. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever state of being you remember at the end of your life, that state of being you'll achieve in your next life. So, there's an interesting story. Prabhupada went to America. So there 80 years old were playing golf. And he was shocked. What they are doing with their lives, putting a ball in a hole. That's what they were doing. So then he said, what they will get in the next life? They'll be born as a rat and they'll be kept inside the holes. So that's very important. We have to live a God-centered life. Then only you'll get the benefit. Because ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि पूरा whole life you enjoyed and then you can remember Krishna. You'll never remember that. So that's how you have to inculcate all through your life this attachment. So now a lot of people say कि हमारे पास कृष्णा नहीं है to give the message. So Arjuna had that facility कि Krishna is speaking to us. For us, we don't have that facility. Do we have that facility? Krishna is speaking to us? Yes, no?
One obviously is through the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking to us. Sometimes it is the Paramatma situated in the heart, but you need to be trained to know that what you are understanding or receiving, what he's revealing in the heart, you need to understand, practice how he communicates with you.
Yes. So Chaitanya Prabhu is saying that, obviously, one is through your heart. So there is Paramatma in your heart. It's called Chaitya Guru. So he communicates to that. Second is obviously the message is there. So Srila Prabhupada brought that same message to all of us in unbroken chain of disciplic succession. See, if we approach this knowledge as Arjuna, then we can have the same effect. So there are many copies of Bhagavad Gita which is there in the market. Many, thousands of translations. But we have to understand Bhagavad Gita from Arjuna's point of view and not from any other's point of view. Because if you read the whole Bhagavad Gita and you don't come to the point of surrender to Krishna, then your whole reading is of no use. Because then you are reading from your own concoction. जैसे होता है ना कि when you read any subject in your school life or college life, you try to understand from professor what point of he is doing, because he is qualified to teach you. So that's why similarly we have to understand the Bhagavad Gita from Arjun's point of view. So how do we know if we are hearing from the right source? The question to everybody, how do we know if we are hearing from the right source? मैं बोल रहा हूँ कुछ भी, तो I can say anything, right? I mean, so how do I know कि, will you all know कि I'm not cheating you, I'm saying the right message?
The spiritual master is coming in disciplinic succession. The
Oh.
person who's our guru, the Shiksha guru or spiritual master, it is coming in disciplinic succession. So that is one way to find the right authority.
Right. Okay. Anybody else from the offline audience? How do we know that whether I'm saying the truth or not? So anywhere can wear these clothes and speak. It's not a big thing, right? So how do you know? Anybody? So qualifications of a bona fide spiritual master. By the mercy of a guru, one gets Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru. So just like I'm speaking because I'm initiated by my spiritual master, and he was a Prabhupada disciple. So that's how my connection with the chain is there. So similarly, Prabhupada was initiated by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So that's how the whole chain is there. So it has to be come in the Sampradaya and Parampara. That's where you know it's genuine. And then you have this three test: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Anything that is spoken here, you'll always check with Guru, your spiritual master or your Shiksha Guru. So there are two Gurus in ISKCON. One is Shiksha Guru, who teaches you this path, and one is the Diksha Guru, who initiates you into this path. So you check with your Guru, so Shiksha Guru or this. Then the Sadhus who are practicing. There are so many devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness, and the book. You check from the book. Then only you will actually come to any conclusion. So these are the four authorized sampradayas. One is coming from Sri Sampradaya, which is from Lakshmi. There another Ramanucharya was there. Our Sampradaya, which is coming from Madhavacharya. So that is our line. Then there is similarly Rudra Sampradaya, that's Vishnu Swami and Nirbhaka Swami. That's coming from. So these are the four Sampradayas. For Kumara, this is coming. So the four Sampradayas in which the Vedic wisdom has been carefully handed over through. Okay, so this is the thing. So just like if you want to get a MBA degree, you will not get it from any college, right? Or a MD degree, which is like surgeon. You will not get yourself treated from a doctor who is just randomly just seen the videos and done operation on you. We will not allow that. So similarly for us, any knowledge that you take on the spiritual part should be authorized, because there are a lot of new age gurus that are coming in without any sampradaya and teaching, and then you have a bad experience. Then you don't. Then it's not advisable.
Prabhuji, I have a little question.
Yeah.
From our point of view as devotees, for us, you are our Shiksha Guru, or you will come in the category of Sadhu?
I'll come in the category of Sadhu, so I'm not a Shiksha Guru. So it's Agudari Prabhu would be a Shiksha Guru for us at least.
Okay. Thank you.
So what is the proof that we are hearing in Parampara? There is change in our heart and our lives. Otherwise, it's simply a pious entertainment. Okay. So how many of you are chanting here? And how many of you have felt a change in heart when you chanted your rounds or when you started coming to the program? Raise your hand, anybody? Yeah. So at least 50% agreed that something has changed in their lives when they started chanting. So that's how you know. You get some spiritual bliss. Otherwise, it's just a pious entertainment that you're going through. So that's the most important thing. So if you look at from Srila Prabhupada's example, when he went to the West, these were drug, they were doing all kinds of drugs, they were hippies. So even we can't imagine how low they were. But when they started chanting, the change of heart happened. And now they have been chanting for last 50 years. Srila Prabhupada disciples which are there, they are chanting for last 50 years and serving continuously. So that's what is said. That's the proof of the pudding, Even, it is across genres. It's a European, American, Chinese. There are devotees who have felt a change in their heart when they chanted the holy names of the Lord. So that's why that's a proof of the parampara. So, and then the Guru has to be fixed in the scriptural deliberation. So if you read Srila Prabhupada books, what is unique about Prabhupada books? Purports about Srila Prabhupada. Whenever you read Srila Prabhupada's book, any small book, big book, there's something peculiar about it. He keeps quoting the verses. He keeps giving scriptural injunctions. Aisa nahi ki he just speaking. he'll keep in every, 1 second, third page, you'll get a scriptural injunction from there. So the Guru has to be fixed in devotional service to the Supreme. Has controlled his senses. Because, you have to follow regulative principles, and if Guru doesn't control, then no point. Is an Acharya following Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? So this is very important, which I alluded to. Ki Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That has to be a test. So qualifications of a disciple. So who is a disciple? So now we have looked at the qualifications of a Guru. Now we have to look at the qualifications of the disciple. Tad vidhi paripratena, pariprashnena sevaya. So he has to have complete surrender and faith in the Guru. Because faith is required in this process. If you keep doubting it, then it will never happen. First you try the process, and then only, so you have to have some faith. So when you go to a new university to study, you have some faith that they are teaching me the truth. So similarly, in this way, we have to have faith in the process. You can't go to a Guru with a challenging mindset. Ki I'll try to find faults in him. That is not the mood that we have to go. We have to go with having some faith and inquisitive to know the truth. To know the truth, not to challenge him. And humbly inquire from him with submissive attitude. Why submissive attitude is required? Why submissive attitude is very important?
It's more like Arjun, right? Like when he's surrendered or something, that time no more.
Yes. So just repeating. So service attitude, because then only you can actually listen to him. If you're coming with a mood of challenging, so then we will never listen, right? याद होता है ना, when office colleagues के बीच में fight होता है, they don't listen to each other. It's just an argument happening. Or even in our college days, we fight with our friends. तो उधर कुछ नहीं होता है. When you have a friendly gathering, उसमें you don't have, you keep fighting because you aren't submissive. But when you are inquiring about spiritual life, you have to submit. You have to have a submissive attitude. So, what is the contribution of Srila Prabhupada? Ki we have such a nice temple and nice facility. So, when I came, 2002, तब we used to all sit in ground, no ACs, no PPT, उस समय तो technology भी नहीं थी. It was quite an austerity. So, contribution of such acharyas is establishment of the temples, which are colleges of higher education, where one is educated and trained to perfect one's lives. So, this is what this is there. The whole temple is there. Because you have to, we get knowledge about our soul, what is the purpose of life, and then we can inquire into higher aspects of our lives. So what is a real temple? A real temple is like a hospital. Anybody can answer this? Why, temples are called mandir in Hindi? Why temples are called mandir? Not because we get our bodies to the temple, right? Baki to mind is everybody's choice. Kahan dalna hai?
We are calling real temples hospitals because we are all conditioned souls in a very metaphorical way, diseased person. We don't have control in our mind. We go through anarthas like anger, jealousy, insecurities, arrogance, ego, false ego, and it is through the temple, the books, the association, the chanting, the kirtan, with everything. When we come to the temple, we get these anarthas out of us. So we become like a diseased man, and when we go back from the temple, at least we are slightly cured, or much cured.
So I just put it in a simple way. For physical disease, where we go? And for mental disease, that's the point. For mental disease, we come to mandir. So what is the diagnosis of our disease? कि अपने सारे problems start कहाँ से होते हैं? What is the root cause of every problem? Yeah, so desires. So you have a material body. So envy, a desire to control. Acha, is there on the slide? Yeah. So mind का enjoyment ही आ गया. So that's a desire. So our envy and desire to become controllers and enjoyers separately from Krishna. So we want to exploit everything, whatever, and we want that false ego to come. This is mine, that is yours. I'll get this, so I'll be very happy. Even if I get this, I'll be very happy. So it's said, desires के बारे में. Even if you get a desire, it's a problem. If your desires are not fulfilled, it's a problem. Can you tell me why? अगर आपकी इच्छा पूरी होगी तो बहुत अच्छा. पर तो भी प्रॉब्लम है, आपकी इच्छा नहीं पूरी हुई तो भी प्रॉब्लम है।
Because of concentration.
नहीं कंसंट्रेशन
Those
है।
desires come na, after completing one desire, the another desire.
End to end. No
हाँ.
satisfaction, end to end desires.
Yeah, there is no end to end. Okay. So
Negative energy.
No.
नेगेटिव बहुत होता है ना, वो सोचता है कि वो कुछ नहीं कर सकता।
एग्जैक्टली, तो डिज़ायर में क्या होता है, अगर आपका फुलफिल हो गया तो उसके बाद क्या होता है, यू हैव व्हाट, वन मोर बिगर डिज़ायर। तो साइकिल मिल गई तो बाइक मिल गई तो कार मिल गई, जस्ट मेटाफोरिकल एग्जांपल। नहीं फुलफिल हुआ तो क्या होगा, एंगर। एंड व्हाट डज एंगर लीड अस टू, delusion of memory or intelligence, right? Anger leads us to that at the end of the day, कि delusion हो जाता है। When you get too angry, what do? You don't know what's happening to you. You behave like, animals only in that sense. So that's it. And what is the treatment in the mandir that you get? मंदिर का ट्रीटमेंट क्या है?
Prasadam.
That's
Prasadam.
okay. Yeah. That's so okay. The treatment is surrendered. So everybody that is here has some surrender in the heart. Ki they want to listen to this knowledge, and that's why they have taken their time out and come here. So we are like almost 40 people here. So 40 hours, 1 घंटा सबने निकाला अपने लाइफ से to come here. Almost 42 hours, so 80 man hours निकाले to come here because they have some level of surrender. They want to listen to the knowledge. And what's the medicine for all these problems? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So mandir mein when you come, you try to surrender and then you take a pill. And what's the pill for us? Is the Hari Nam Sankirtan, right? So that's the whole objective of coming to the temple or even establishing temples. And obviously Prabhupada emphasized on book distribution and everything, which is linked to the whole process of surrender. Because if this Prabhupada books were not there, we would have never been attracted. Right? You see devotees everywhere, December month, marathon, they're distributing books. And that's why you get attracted to it. What is the purpose? They're doing books. And that's how I got attracted to it. I was stuck in a traffic jam then and somebody gave me these books. I was surprised, they caused the traffic jam because of Jagannath Rath Yatra and they were selling the books usme. So I like, why? And then I read the books and then I understood the purpose. And after so many years, I am on the other side. A real temple teaches the importance of association of devotees. So there is a very interesting quote. You can tell a man or a person by the 5 friends that he has. Right? So you see a cluster. जैसे कॉलेज में भी क्लस्टर होता है, टॉपर्स एक साथ रहते हैं, मिडिल वाले और द आर्टिस्ट टाइप पीपल दे आर एट वन ग्रुप, टोटल मस्ती करने वाले और द एंग्री पीपल आर इन वन ग्रुप. दैट्स ऑल. So that's why in temple you get association of devotees. And when you get association of devotees, you are inspired to chant or serve Krishna. Because what do devotees discuss among themselves?
Krishna.
Yes. About Krishna, applying the philosophy. How do I share Krishna consciousness with others? So that's what the discussion is all about. And that's why a lot of people, I don't know how many of you have faced this, but बोलते हैं तुम लोग कृष्णा कृष्णा ही करते रहते हो. You don't have any other purpose. हरे कृष्णा वाले मतलब हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा शुरू हो जाएगा. So do you agree, disagree? Office colleagues भी बोलते हैं कितना कृष्णा कृष्णा करते हो. So who is a sadhu? So we just see who is a sadhu. He is, Titiksha Kornika, tolerant and merciful. That's a sign of a sadhu. Friend of all living entities. He will have no enemies like an ocean and like he's a walking scripture. So that's how you got to identify. ये clothes पहन के anybody can wear or orange robe anybody can wear. That is not a sadhu. You have to see his qualities. He's a walking scripture and you'll see him and he'll have all good qualities. So that's how you identify a sadhu, not by the dress. India में that's a perception कि if it's wearing, you still respect it, but you have to be careful about it. So dangers of materialistic association. Can you tell me, ये pastime, the left one, किसका है? And anybody?
Mantra and Keke.
So this is about mantra and keke. What happened here? So Mantra was the third queen, and you had bad association. Or what happened? What entered into her heart was envy. कि मेरा बच्चा, my son will not become the king and he'll also always. So that's what envy is there. And you can't have a better king than Lord Ram. So that's why you have to be very careful with materialistic association. So then how do you handle this materialistic association? That's a question that everybody has. Because everybody here who are there are working with materialistic people. Right? So how do you be careful? How will you behave with them? Anybody has suggestions? We can come up with suggestions. Brainstorm कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे. Just like a MBA class. So how do we handle materialistic association? Because you will be meeting your relatives, you will be meeting your friends, and they will be saying, why you are doing chanting so much? Why you are having no onion, no garlic? It's such a pain. Tea, coffee क्यों छोड़ा है तुमने? It's such a pain.
I think just keeping it to the point as much as is like very important and necessary. We can't completely just elude our family and friends.
Right.
But jitna jahan tak zaruri, just keep it to the point.
Yes.
With the relationship, and also because we have to be detached, as it says, that a Krishna conscious devotee is even careless in terms of death also. He has to carry out his duties.
Right.
So detachment to karni padegi.
So it's just like you have a profession. So he's saying about ki detachment and all. I'll just put it in a. So you have to have a professional relationship. You meet with them, you have business with them, interact, but not get influenced by the thoughts. And when you have Krishna in your center, you have a good morning program, you chanted some rounds, and then you moved, went out, did some deity worship, then you went out, then evening you're listening to the Bhagavad Gita, then what happens is your consciousness is centered around this. And have a proper professional relationship, that doesn't mean you ignore them, but just as much as required. That's very important. So you don't associate with them. So just like you don't reveal your heart to them, or you don't reveal, so then it will be. So only thing you have to do is have a professional relationship, and the rest all have Krishna in your center in your life. That's how you're going to balance that. So एक और bad association का कोई example देगा मेरे को from the scriptures? Yes, Shakuni and Duryodhana. So that's a second example. So that's very important. Everybody got the point कि कैसे handle करना है? When you're developing your devotional creeper, it's just like a seed. Seed को पहले water करते हो. You don't water too much, you don't water too less. But you keep a balance. फिर sunlight भी उतनी देते हो. एकदम नहीं कि, you just take care of a plant. Similarly, this devotional life is there. We have some taste for Bhagavad Gita, for Krishna. So we have to fuel that. And how do you do it? By in regulated quantities. And slowly that creeper will become big and you will get stronger. Right? Small creeper को तोड़ना इतना आसान है. Anybody can walk, dog can walk over it. But once it becomes a tree, is it easy? Dog can't do anything. So similarly for us, we have to have a regular sadhana, steady sadhana. Then only you will be able to, walk over this. So importance of acceptance of guidance from a spiritual preceptor. What happens is you have to accept a person from whom you will get the knowledge. Because that's very important. And you saw the sadhak, he has to repeat what the Lord says. Not his guru, ki meri seva karo. That is not the point here. You have to, find someone who is a genuine devotee and then try to serve him. So what does a guru teach? How can be one Krishna consciousness in family life? So Lord Rishabdev says, one who cannot deliver the dependent from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. Because what happens is, if everybody is materialistic in their family life, so family ka kya hoga? So when the children grow up, they want to go and live alone, and the mother and father, they're left old, so that problems happen. So yes, the selfishness stuff. So selfishness would be there, and if everybody is selfish about their own things, then what will happen? The family will disintegrate. So that's why it's very important, you have to have a Krishna conscious centered life. What does the Guru teach? Strictly follow 4 regulative principles. So no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating, and no illicit relationships. So no relationships outside marriage. So you have to strictly follow these 4 regulating principles. Now I want to want to ask a question कि why we have to follow these 4 regulative principles? Why? There's a very important philosophical point. So that's something.
Our consciousness clean and pure. For example, we should not do intoxication or elevate our consciousness with artificial drugs or chai or excessive caffeine. Meat eating, obviously, it is kill. As they say, we are not supposed to kill anyone, and you're killing a soul, an animal, and that is itself a crime.
Right.
Laws of nature in religion. No illicit sex, as per the shastras, that you are supposed to be a brahmachari till 25, and then you're allowed to get into a relationship under the institution of marriage, and then produce Krishna conscious children. And no gambling. I think it just keeps your mind very in the sense of greed. A very big anartha is what
Right.
gambling can do. Another
So-
very big bad habit.
Okay, so I'll just give you more from a philosophical point of view because 4 regulative principles, I guess everybody would have it. So what does gambling does to you? It fuels greed. और greed से क्या होता है? You feel happy when you have greed in your mind. You have seen greedy people. You go to a casino, you'll see them, and you know what happens with them. They're in a very bad state that is there because they're always in anxiety. And if you have anxiety, can you chant your rounds better? Can you do anything better? अब anxiety में हो कोई भी काम करोगे तो what will be the output? Anybody has been ever in anxiety before? What happens? The output is bad, right? That's the philosophical point. Ki, rest all you know ki it's bad, but then no. So then if it's no intoxication से क्या होता है कि anyways we are in the force of Maya. Do you agree? We are under Maya.
Yes.
So when you are under Maya and if you take any more stimulant, तो तुम अब double Maya में हो जाओगे. Do you want to be in that state? From a philosophical, because loss of memory will happen. So that's why we avoid this. No illicit relationships because then you are coming to the bodily platform. So then you are animalistic in nature because animals do much more sense enjoyment than we do. So that's why no illicit way. And the 4th is no meat eating. Meat eating is because when you kill an animal, so what happens? Any doctors in this forum? Okay, so there is something called as flight or fight mode. So when the animal is cut, it's into fight mode में होता है या flight डर जाता है, and then you eat that, so that affects your consciousness. So that's why you have to be very careful because then you will not come to the spiritual platform. You will be at below. So you have to have just like a pill. जैसे डॉक्टर बोलता है कि when you are in a hospital तो आप pill खाते तो इसका एक diet होता है. So similarly for this, if you want to advance in spiritual life, so you have to take this diet. And we have seen कि over a period of time, this is very natural to follow. It's not very difficult thing. Starting में it might look a bit tedious, but when you start chanting and you enjoy your sadhana or spiritual life, then it's very easy. It's a cakewalk, as you say in the material world. What does a guru teach? Moral and spiritual honesty. So being moral and honest to Krishna, real morality. So he teaches you the real morality. So that's there. So not to cheat. So can Krishna consciousness person say a lie?
No, it depends. If you are doing it for say spiritual spiritual perspective or say big reason, then it's okay to lie.
Right. So it also you can say a lie. Yeah.
Also, 4 regulative principles promote those 4 pillars of dharma, right?
Yeah. They obviously support the dharma. But I was talking from philosophical point of view. कि why. So just an example कि hostel में, how many of you have studied in a hostel or stayed in a hostel? Okay, that's nice. तो hostel में होता क्या है? Your friends say, चलो movie देखने चलते हैं. And some crap movie that is there. So then a Krishna consciousness person can say a lie. And then you're allowed to do that. So honesty मतलब एकदम वो नहीं लेना at face value. So there is a story. नारद मुनि जा रहे थे तो there was a cobra. He used to bite the villages. तो नारद मुनि says he said why you do this मतलब कोबरा को बोले तो he said कि नहीं मतलब I have to do it बोले no you chant Lord's name और किसी को bite नहीं करना. Then नारद मुनि after few weeks he came again to visit तो देखा कोबरा की एकदम he's cut all over the body and he said what happened? So he said नहीं आपने बोला था नहीं करना तो the villagers are throwing stones at me, they are playing with me, for them it's fun. because I react when somebody is. So he said, okay, now from here just show your hood, don't bite, but ऐसा भी नहीं कि पीछे हो जाना एकदम. So that's how we have to be there in our spiritual life. कि it's not something कि we are fools or कि एकदम honest रहेंगे, but you have to be smart enough to how do you handle that. I hope you got the point.
Yes, Prabhuji, but in Mahabharata, the eldest brother of Pandavas, Yudhishthir, he was a complete about honesty and truth.
Right.
I mean, he even refused Lord Krishna's orders to lie once. So, would you like to say something about that?
नहीं, but उसको भी झूठ बोलने लगाया था ना अश्वत्थामा का. You know ना, अश्वत्थामा मर गया and the elephant Ashwatthama died. He was not supposed to say a lie. So it's not that. Even Krishna broke his vow. Right? Krishna broke his vow. He left. Yes. So yeah, it's fine. So you have to put Krishna in center. That's the whole objective.
Okay.
So
And
then.
in spiritual morality, I think. It
Yes.
has to be something within, does not cross the lines. Of
Yeah.
But such a big level.
But that hostel example, when they are telling you, ki, let's go for this, then obviously you have to use your intelligence. And you don't say, ki, I'm a moral man, so I will not tell a lie. So the lie you might tell, ki, I'm not feeling well, I have a stomach ache, blah, blah. That way. So the next point that we come to is charity, which is very important for grahasthas like us. Why this is very important? Because first three ashramas, one is student life, usme to they don't earn money. Only the grahasthas earn money. Okay, and vanaprastha you're coming down, so and then the sannyasis don't earn money. So the whole system of all these varnas is dependent on you, the grahastha ashram. So here the charity is a very important aspect of a grahastha. So there is an interesting story with Srila Prabhupada. So there was a Pune mein devotee who asked Srila Prabhupada, why don't you sell your marbles in the temple? Just Radha Rasbihari mein the whole temple is of marble. Usko bech ke, why don't you feed the poor child? Poor people ko khilao. Have you heard anybody also giving the argument कि मंदिर की क्या जरूरत है, सच्चा गरीबों को खिलाओ? Right? Exactly. Okay. So he asked Prabhupada this. He was a doctor, Dr. Malhotra, I think so, if I'm not wrong. So then Prabhupada said, कि एक rich आदमी का लड़का, he has forgotten that he's a rich man's son, and he's wandering on the streets. Somebody will give him food, somebody will give him clothing, somebody will give him some money. But the best thing that would be कि somebody would tell him कि you are belonging to a very rich family, go back, right? So similarly, who is our ultimate father? Who is the ultimate father? Ultimate creator कौन है ये पूरी सृष्टि का? अहम बीज. So Krishna is the seed giving father. So we are all what? We are parts and parcels of Krishna. So that's why the temples are very important. Ki when they make you realize ki we are parts and parcel of Krishna. So after that devotee became a Prabhupada disciple, and then he did a lot of service. So that's all. So this is foolish argument ki why there is a need of temples. So then especially Corona mein talk काफी हुआ था कि why there was a need of temples. When people are dying, why don't make temples hospital? And these are all foolish arguments. Because even hospitals में don't people die. ऐसा है कि hospitals में people don't die. Just you are admitted to hospital, you die. Because that's the fact. When you understand this fact, then only you can know कि you have another life, and then you come to the real understanding. So charity is of three types, in the three modes. So charity in the mode of ignorance is what? Your friends will take you, I'm smoking, so I'll give you a cigarette, you also smoke with me. That is ignorance. Giving the wrong thing. Then in the mode of passion, कि you have my big नाम लिखा हुआ मेरा कि मैंने ये sponsor किया है, I'm doing this. So interestingly, I was reading, this is a bit material, but I was shocked to hear this. So there's a book come out about Bill Gates, who is the biggest philanthropist. Everybody agrees? I was shocked to see that कि there's somebody has done research on it कि उसका philanthropy से होता क्या है. You talk about ना philanthropy, he does it and all. So they found was कि wherever he did philanthropy, he did charity, his business increased from that part. And this is a book that is refuting it. I have not read the book, I'll just give you a disclaimer. But this is something very interesting. So this for me was, when I was reading this, is charity in the mode of passion. कि for some ulterior motive you are doing this. And what is charity in the mode of goodness is doing at the right place at the right time. Somebody is dying of hunger and then you give him Bhagavad Gita, is it right or wrong? First give him food and then you give him the Bhagavad Gita, right? So that is the mode of goodness, that is there. But there is a charity beyond that. That is transcendental charity. When we do everything for the service of the Lord. What is transcendental charity? A charity by which we give Krishna to others. So example of Mr. Malhotra and Srila Prabhupada. The example which I talked about. He was a doctor, he said, why don't you sell the marbles in your temple and feed to the hungry? So transcendental charity means to give in such a way that somehow the other person gets Krishna. Because whose intention was कि every town and village there would be chanting of the holy names. किसका intention था ये? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted that there should be chanting in every town and village, and that's why these temples are there, and that's why we have the Sankirtan buses that are there. They are going to every village and spreading Krishna consciousness. So now charity का now there are a lot of questions कि there is a recommendation also कि कितना charity करना चाहिए. Anybody knows? Prabhupada ने क्या recommend किया है? 50%. Yes. And how many of us can do it? So it's very difficult. So Prabhupada recommended 50%. But then there is a way that we can do. So we can contribute some. We can have a separate bank account, 5-10%, whatever we can give, and keep money in that bank account, and then use for this services that we can do. So, for the making of altar, for yatras, you can have that money and then you can use that money for that. Going on yatras, going on making altar at home, or even giving in Janmashtami, in this marathon that we have. So that's how we can start little charity, and then Krishna will give us the intelligence and maybe we can go to 50%. But having a separate bank account is something. Just like, corporates mein hota na, yeah, even anybody who's earning a salary, what does government charge? TDS, tax deducted source. So we can have something of that sort of Krishna and keep that money. So we can use on Krishna consciousness activities. So there is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalena asana sauchabhyam samskaras tapasya yagya shuddham dana santushti dravyam atmanana vidyaya. O king, by the passing of time, land and other material possessions are purified. By bathing, the body is purified, and by being cleansed, unclean things are purified. By purificatory ceremonies, birth is purified. By austerity, the senses are purified. By worship and charity offered to the Brahmanas, material possessions are purified. And by satisfaction, the mind is purified. And by self-realization or Krishna consciousness, the soul is purified. So, what happens by charity? Offered to them material possessions, because it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, anything that you do will have a karma. So even if you eat fruit grains not offering to Krishna, you get a karma. So how do you counter the effect of that thing is by offering charity. That's a point. And what happens is for Grahasthas the time is very limited. So we can't give our time to Krishna, but we can give our energy to Krishna to some extent. So that's a very important point that we have to keep in mind. So we want to place a quiz. So can close your eyes. Okay. So by bathing, what is purified?
Body.
Close your eyes. Okay. And how is your mind purified?
Chanting.
Krishna consciousness. Okay. And how is birth purified? I'll change this. Come on. How is birth purified? Ceremony. Yes. So, ceremony is the answer. So, what does a guru teach? How to dovetail your occupation in devotional service. Guru gives us a secret कि कैसे करना है. That is the biggest boon by Rupa Goswami. So, Rupa Goswami there is a principle called as Yukta Vairagya. Everything that you do, you can use in the service of Krishna. Everything. ऐसा नहीं कि you don't have to do that. So I remember first time coming to the temple, even that back then, 2003 mein. So first time I saw was a projector was there and they were playing movies. I was shocked कि a spiritual place पे आना, normally before coming to ISKCON you have, it's a very serious thing, you know, एकदम austerity होगा. Then I had prasad and I was shocked. So we used to get two sweets at that point of time. I was like, wow, that's like really nice. You're having nice prasad, just chanting, and you can go back home, back to Godhead. So that's the perfect thing that can happen. Is it difficult? So yes, that's the point. So how to transform our home into a temple? Because a grahastha typically lives either in office or in business or at home. Right? That's what we spend most of the time. So we have to invite the Lord at our home. And how do we invite the Lord at our home? We can have the deities, we can have the pictures of the Lord, setting up an altar. And then and also you can worship in the heart, but it's much more difficult. If you have a place for the Lord in the heart, then we'll have to a place for Him in the home. Give Him the best possible place in the home. So when you invite the Lord, कई लोग होते हैं घर के बाहर मंदिर बनाते हैं. I've seen in some bungalows and all. That you have to be very careful. Okay, it should be inside ideally. The Lord should be established and worshipped. For grahasthas, this is recommended very much because this is your personal connection with the Lord. If you have a puja, everybody has it. I guess India it's very common. So then it's a sacred place for you, and then you actually can have a personal relation and exchange with the Lord. So evening, say you come back from office or your work or your business or you're from your studies, then you just can offer a simple lamp, some flowers, and incense to the Lord. How much time it will take? 10 minutes. But then this is your personal exchange. Because when you're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, what you are asking is for some service. And when you do this service, you are actually offering to Krishna. So that's a personal exchange that you are having. So you can have one photograph also, but then you can have a sacred space. So that's why what happens is that when you come back, your consciousness is back. So in South, you will be very surprised to know that there are these businessmen, morning mein jate and evening mein they show books of accounts to the Lord. And why they do it is because He's your partner in that sense. So you just show कि मैं आपके लिए गया था, I did this, I books of accounts, मैं सुबह इतना business किया, this is for you. So that's how that exchange happens. It's a very interesting thing, but it's still followed. There is another temple in Jaipur, near Udaipur, Savaria State, which is a Krishna temple, and where they make business partner as Krishna. So we can also do similarly something of that sort. Then what you are centered around Krishna. I did this effort I did, and then you can have an exchange with Krishna. This is the effort I did it for you, and then you can open your heart to Krishna. That's how you do. So here is Krishna, with his 5 queens of Dwarka. So it's an interesting thing, there's a lot of, again, a misconception here. Krishna has so many wives. How can one man have so many wives and all that? And they're thinking from a very material point of view. But then Narad Muni visited Dwarka. He wanted to see Krishna ki itne wives, how does he maintain them? So when he saw that Krishna has expanded himself into 16,108 forms, and he was staying with each of his wives separately in a very opulent palace. A gold palace he was staying with them. So if you look at the pictures here, on the left hand side, Krishna is performing sacrifice. Then Krishna is discussing with him. Then he's there in the swing with him. Then Krishna is fighting someone. Then Krishna is meditating. So that's how Krishna was able to maintain so many wives, because he expanded himself. And he was doing different activities at different points of time. So this description is there in the Krishna book. How many of you have Krishna book? So today, please, evening go and read this chapter. So when you reach home, you can read this chapter. Actually, Prabhupada recommended that every night before sleeping, you should read Krishna book. So that you can do. So that's how we saw. So now, how do we worship Krishna? Establish an altar. Everybody would have. Can you raise your hand? कि altars घर में है? Any जो traditional भी है, not ISKCON. Only so much. इतने कम लोग का. I'm surprised. Yeah, raise your hand. Okay. Offer him food. You can patram pushpam phalam toyam. Just offer a leaf, a fruit, a flower. If you don't have anything, the water. That you can offer. Offering arti, I said, you can have a simple lamp, flowers, incense, that you can do. A family that prays together stays together. इसका एक और वर्जन है, a family that dances together in kirtan advances together. So this is the altar, where typically what is recommended, you keep. So there is a book called Beginner's Guide to Krishna Consciousness. Have you heard about that book? Yes, so please buy that. It's available in the, I don't know, we have available, in the stock we have, or we can, they're in the stock now. So anybody can take that book. So it talks about how do you offer basics of Krishna consciousness. That's a must recommended by me ki you should have at least in your closet or in your room. So this is Gaur Nitai here. Then here is Krishna. Then on the left hand side you have the Panch Tattva. Then you have the Narsingh Dev here. And then you have the Parampara. Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the whole Parampara. So that's how you can set up. This is a altar recommendation that is there, if you can do. So what's happened now is ki joint family mein, earlier there were a lot of joint families there, but I think so now it's in India also this trend is very increasing ki nuclear families are there. So 80% of marriages in America enter into divorce in 3 years. So that's why you have to inculcate in your children this Krishna consciousness. Because from the 3 years of age, it said, the child's subconscious is open. Whatever you say to him, it's registered in his mind. So even it said, in the schools, if child learns by observation. He doesn't learn by, what you speak. He'll pick up how you're behaving and all. So that's why you have to be very careful with the child. These spiritual activities, so this, when you offer a lamp, when you're having some sadhana at your home, when your children observe, so they are also, very excited to do this. Okay, when you're offering, say, Aarti at home, so they will also help you with some things, or they want their own bell and all. So that's a very important thing. So traditionally in India, a lot of the females used to learn cooking just by observing their moms. They don't have to be taught. So that's how it's very important that children learn by observation. So having a good spiritual atmosphere at home is very good. Otherwise, they are going to be in Maya, so again, the troubles of Maya is going to hit them. Therefore, it's very important that we establish a temple in our home. But there is tendency that everything done repeatedly for some time becomes mechanical. So that's why you have to have, some serious sadhana. You don't see this just as a core that you're doing it. And your sadhana has to be a bit strict in that. Because if you don't get spiritual taste in your sadhana, you'll be attracted by Maya. Because क्या होता है ना कि in morning में you don't chant your rounds, then your sadhana starts going down. और फिर एक बार आप chant करना छोड़ देते हो. This happens in your life because you have to do it through your lifetime, so this will happen. So if that happens, what will you do? If you're not getting spiritual taste, तो क्या करना चाहिए? If in your sadhana you're not getting spiritual taste, so what is the remedy?
Visit temple more often and spend lots of devotees.
Visit temple more? Yes. Yeah.
Go to a spiritual master, guru.
Yes.
He will take you to the right path again.
Yes.
Right.
Visit a holy place. Yeah, so these all things you have to do. So then only you'll get that taste back again. So Dwarka mein jise in the temple we welcome the Lord, so Dwarka city, the lamps are offered, the flowers are offered for the Lord. So that's how we should also decorate our temple at home, or offering nice lamp and bhoga, that can be done. So look at this picture, it's a very nice picture. So how many of you have been to Pandharpur? So this on the path you mark towards Chandrabhaga river, so the child is offering an umbrella to the Lord. So is it devotional service or not? This is a fiber made, Vitthal. But he's offering that. So that's how should be our mood. Ki it's raining, I'll try to do it. Not that mood ki Krishna ko kyun chahiye. I'll keep the umbrella for myself. That should not be the mood. So here is written, Lord, heart is moved by devotee seva bhav, service attitude, which is the only way to attract him. Just like a child, gives something to his father. Does the father need it? No. He gives a small cookie to his father. Does the father need it? No. But it's the attitude that is there. So similarly, we have to establish that loving relationship with the Lord. And the best part is doing through deity worship. Or, having a picture and just remembering that. So even in your office, business, you can keep a small picture of Radha Ras Bihari. So you are connected with the Lord even during that time. Phones mein you can put a picture of Radha Ras Bihari or Prabhupada or anybody else. So you keep remembering the Lord. So Prabhupada, wherever he used to travel, he was very attached to Radha Rasbihari deities. So he used to always keep that picture of Radha Rasbihari. So that picture is still there in Vrindavan. Where, if you go to Vrindavan, his house where he left his body, that is still there, Radha Rasbihari. And we are so fortunate that we are seeing Radha Rasbihari. You can come anytime you want. So what is the sadhana? Sadhana is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So sadhana is chanting on the beats. So minimum 16 rounds is recommended. How many of you are not chanting? Raise your hands. Okay, so we encourage you to chant. And so why? We have to chant on the beats. You can get the beats downstairs. So what happens when you chant on the beats, your concentration is there and that beats remember you. There is regulation. You have to chant properly. And what's the best time to do it? Brahma Muhurat. 1.5 hours before sunrise. So sunrise varies between cities and all, so you can take that time. So 4:30 is the normally time. But for Grahasthas, I know it's a difficult schedule. Try to do at 5:30, 5, whatever is suitable for you, depending on your work. And reading of scriptures. And hearing from advanced devotees. So the 4 do's, A, B, C, D. So A is for association, B is for books, C is for chanting, and D is for diet. That's Krishna Prasad. How much time we have? It's almost 6, so 5-10 minutes. No? So A is association with saintly devotees. So the program that we are having, we are trying to understand something about Krishna, and that's what we are doing. Now a very important point here is you associate with people who are advanced than you. Okay, that's very important. And so when they are advanced, they inspire you to improve your sadhana or to go into the next level. So that's why whenever you're there in a temple, you should try to associate with advanced devotees who are there. And those who are below you in terms of your sadhana, if you're chanting say 10 rounds, you can encourage those who are chanting 2 rounds to come up to that stage. So that's how you can encourage one another. That's why these temples are. The whole purpose of creating this temple is that we can come together and practice Krishna consciousness. Second is books. So reading Srila Prabhupada book. So why reading Srila Prabhupada books is so important? Because he has given all the contents of the Vedas in a very easily and understanding format. It's not very complicated. You can, by reading just Prabhupada books, people's lives have been transformed. So that's why these books are important. So it's said that, in the evening you should try to read. So as I said, Prabhupada recommended Krishna book padhna chahiye because you remember Krishna in your sleep. Because whatever you do in your end, without surfing the phone, uske badle read a Krishna book, have in your bed, near your bed. So that will increase your attraction to Krishna. And then morning you chant. So aapka pura night is fully covered with Krishna being in the center of your life. So read Prabhupada books. Then third is chanting. So chanting of the Lord, God is great, we are time, but with God helps we can surpass the most difficult and stressful situations. So we have to pray to God's help. So it's why chanting is recommended. Why not any other process? Ki Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam kalyu nasti eva nasti gatir anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, do you agree this is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy? Yes. This is scientific proof. The only means of deliverance is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So there might be many methods which are good, but then chanting is the most easy. You can chant anytime you want. Anytime you're traveling, you're doing your duties, you can just chant anytime you want. And of late, I was surprised that Prabhupada told me, I got some quote of Prabhupada, you can do it even while working, but you have to practice it. And the example is given of a child, and the mother. When the small child is there, mother does all the activities and takes care of the child. Despite she doing all the duties of hers, her focus is on the child. So similarly, we also doing our worldly duties, we can have the focus on our, Krishna. He is the Supreme Father, we can meditate on that. So there is another interesting thing was that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the taste of water. So whenever you drink water, you can actually remember, oh, this is Krishna. Because water normally doesn't have any taste, but there is some taste in water, right? Even if you buy Bisteri from different states, it's different. So that's what you can remember at that point of time. So chanting in Prabhupada writes, any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna in course of times feels transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. So we have seen this, people who come and they chant for 6 months, their hearts have transformed. What they used to like earlier, they never like now, because there's a change of heart that happens. Do you agree? This happens, there's a change of heart. And this Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, if one chants the holy names of the Lord, even in helpless condition or without desiring to do so, all the reactions of his sinful life departs. Just as when a lion roars, all the small animals flee in fear. So when you chant in that state, all your challenges, sinful life will start, the reactions will start lessening down. So if you had a big impact hona tha, to chote impact se you just be away from that. And diet, so we'll have prasad after this, so we'll get us. So avoid, eat sattvic foods offered to the Lord, because that is transcendental. Before we end, we are almost about time. This is a very important quote that I found when I was doing research for this. So Prabhupada in his lecture in Bhagavad Gita in New York, he says, just like a merchant or a mercantile man, he is doing some business and working very hard day and night to accumulate some money. Similarly, a devotee of the Lord also can earn money in the same spirit, working day and night. Superficially it will appear just like this man and that man. There is no difference. They are working the same day and night for earning money. But the devotee or the man who is established in relationship with God, his expenditure will be different. His expenditure will be not for sense gratification, but for advancement of God consciousness. That's the ideal man. There is no harm. If you work very, very much attached to your business or anyone, that doesn't matter. So what Prabhupada is recommending is not to leave your work. You work, but when you get the fruits of your work to sense gratification, you use it for the service of the Lord. So that's a very important point. Okay, we all are grahasthas and we'll be working and we'll be working for many years now. So we have to work in the spirit that whatever money I get, I can use it for Krishna. By donation, by going for yatras, going to holy places, by building an altar of the Lord, inviting for house programs you can invite devotees, and for lectures. There are a lot of things that you can do. But the main purpose or the whole idea of Krishna consciousness is that Krishna has to be the center of your life. And not leaving work and all that is not the purpose. So I'll just stop here. So only one thing in the last slide. So I guess most of you know about Srila Prabhupada. So only thing is ki we have these books of Srila Prabhupada, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Krishna. So we have our programs every day of the week on these books, right? Every week. So we encourage you ki today you have come, you have taken time to come, but during the weeks also, if you can, join our classes, that would be very helpful for you, for everybody, because that's how we can fix our consciousness on Krishna. So I will end here. Any questions? So anybody has any questions? So we end the class. I have some announcements, so just wait, I'll just make some announcements. Just okay, so I can't find the PPT. Just a sec. So anybody coming for the first time? Okay. Hare Krishna, welcome. So this is our post-lecture activity. So it's around 6:15 now. So we'll have dinner prasadam and query solving. So somebody who wants to, have some doubts in Krishna consciousness, so we can, just solve this. So we have Barun Prabhu here who is there, the Krishna Priya, my wife is there, so you have any questions, Vikrant Prabhu is there. So any questions on the devotional life we'll have there. After that we'll attend the Sandhya Aarti. That is from 7 to 7:30, and then after that if you want, you can go to Prabhupada quarters, or you can chant, or any doubts you have, you can ask that. So this is where a lot of seva opportunities is there. Because devotional service means activities that are performed for the pleasure of Lord Krishna with devotion and ultimately not mixed with any desire. So just an example is given, ki why seva is important. Because when you do some service for the Lord, you get sukriti, or good deeds, good reactions. So that's how your devotional life is encouraged. So this is the seva opportunities that are there in this group that we have. Because we have so our group is expanding, we need a lot of help. So one is, for registration of new people. We have some volunteers who come here in the Japa. Everybody has seen the Japa stall? So we have devotees who are there, getting new people to the class. Because the whole point of this ISKCON movement is to spread the knowledge of Krishna. Then following up with devotees who have come, some digital content, performance of dramas. So that we will be starting soon. Database maintenance. So that's where the opportunities are. You can just read this. And our programs through the week. So today and tomorrow, that is Saturday and Sunday, we have physical lectures or offline lectures. Then through the week, to keep Krishna consciousness, we have morning programs from 7:15 to 8:15, and then weekdays we have these classes. So Monday Ishopanishad, Tuesday Bhagavatam, then Wednesday Chaitanya Charitamrita, Thursday Bhagavad Gita, and then Friday Nectar of Devotion. So that's how we can keep our life centered around Krishna. So we encourage you to get someone to come to these classes and attend, so they will have some connection with Krishna. So after this, we'll have Kirtan or we have Prasad?
Probably we still have some time. Maybe 10 minutes we can have question answers.
Yeah, question answer is there. Anybody? So we have a WhatsApp group. You're just talking about. So we have a WhatsApp group. We will add you to the WhatsApp group. And then you can ask questions, whatever doubts you have, or we can just discuss post that also. How will you do it? Anybody else? So I guess we close the session by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Radharaj Bihari ki Jai. So we'll just have prasad now. हाँ क्या बोलूँ ठीक है ना थोड़ा ऐसे ठीक है